Press the bell icon on YouTube and don't miss another update.
At a public function in Srinagar, he said, much to the delight of the Kashmiris, that I have held out a hand of friendship twice to Pakistan and I have been let down twice. But I'm not going to give up. I'm going to give it one more try.
We had to get rid of that international pressure. And what better way to do it but to tell the world, all right, I'm going to meet Nawaz.
Only 8 months before, in May 1998, Atal Bihari Vajpayee's India and Nawaz Sharif's Pakistan had conducted nuclear tests. From the debris of these South Asian nuclear tests would emerge one of the subcontinent's greatest peace efforts. In February 1999, the Lahore Bus Yatra, or Caravan-e-Aman as Vajpayee's journey would be called, set the peace ball rolling. It was a bold gamble. It had been 10 years since an Indian Prime Minister had visited Pakistan. Vajpayee crossed the Wagah border on his peace bus and on the other side was received by Nawaz Sharif. Both travelled together to Lahore, and over the next momentous 48 hours, both countries came closest to turning the chapter on trauma, tragedy and bloodletting. So how did the Lahore Bus Service come about? A few months after the 1998 nuclear tests, Vajpayee and Nawaz Sharif met on the sidelines of the UN General Assembly in New York. There Sharif talked memorably about his visit to Delhi in 1982, when he had driven his own car to attend the Asian Games. Why could the people of the two countries meet in the same way, the two prime ministers asked each other. The idea of a people's bus had taken seed. Sharif suggested to Vajpayee that when the first bus rolled out, he should be one of its passengers.
Nawaz Sharif and I had communicated to set up an interview, and jokingly I said, what's the point of doing interviews? Many people cannot even do small things like set up a bus service between Delhi and Lahore. Your people have been talking and delaying it forever. I mean, he thought for a while and he said, in fact, I will even say that Mr. Vajpayee should come on the first bus and I will give him a welcome that he will not forget. So I said, if that is the case, then I will come for this interview. So he said, but I have one concern, that I may make this invitation to Mr. Vajpayee. What about your MEA? They may say tomorrow that they don't take it seriously. He said, it will not be good. So I said, wait, I will go and check with Mr. Vajpayee. So I went and checked with Mr. Vajpayee. And Mr. Vajpayee said, oh, it's a good idea. So why don't you get him to say it? I will accept this offer and I will go on the first bus. On the morning on which the interview was published, Mr. Vajpayee landed in Lucknow, his constituency, and the press at the airport asked him that there is this invitation, will you go? And he said, yes, I will go. So he did not even leave space for the usual hesitations of the MEA and the diplomats to come in. It was an instinctive decision on his part, but it was set up to this extent.
On 20th February 1999, Vajpayee boarded the bus from Amritsar to the Wagah border. The idea was not just to send a political message, but to rebuild the age-old bonds between the people of India and Pakistan that had been badly frayed by partition, by the breakup of Pakistan in 1971, and by the lingering Kashmir dispute.
Diffusion of India-Pakistan tensions was to be able to meet some of the genuine concerns and some of the genuine requirements of the people on both sides, particularly in Jammu and Kashmir. And from that point of view, there was a clear understanding on both sides that if you were able to make these small moves, which did not, of course, work against the overall security, but at the same time were able to meet some of the concerns and the aspirations for greater contact among relatives on the two sides, among people friends and people and family on the two sides, these would contribute considerably towards easing the tension as well as enhancing goodwill on both sides and laying the foundation for a somewhat more organized, coherent political dialogue.
We were under severe international pressure after the nuclear tests. And everybody was saying that you two guys are so irresponsible that you will lead it to a nuclear conflict and we'll all have to intervene. And I think we had to get rid of that international pressure. And what better way to do it but to tell the world, all right, I'm going to meet Nawaz. And therefore I don't need all your mediation and intervention of foreign powers. We'll manage our affairs with Pakistan.
Vajpayee's celebrity bus was full of well-known actors and poets as well as politicians. Javed Akhtar, Prakash Singh Badal, Malika Sarabhai, Dev Anand and Shatrughan Sinha among others. Outside the Lahore fort, the Jamaat-e-Islami had other ideas. They wouldn't let the Vajpayee convoy pass. Stones were pelted at the cars which drove by. Eventually, Vajpayee reached the Lahore fort.
The Prime Minister reached Lahore in the evening and there was a huge banquet for him at the Lahore fort, which was personally organized by Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif. Our Prime Minister surprised or shocked the Pakistanis by saying that the next morning he wanted to visit the
Minar-e-Pakistan.
And the Pakistanis were really worried that what the hell is this? I mean, what is he going to go and say there? So when he visited the
Minar-e-Pakistan,
he wrote in the visitor's book that a strong, stable and prosperous Pakistan is in India's interest. And in the afternoon, before he came back, there was a reception for him at the governor's house in Lahore. And there, again, he got a huge standing ovation when he said that when I go back home, my party people are going to say, तुम्हें लाहौर जाना था तो ठीक है, लेकिन वहाँ किस लिए गए थे निशाने पाकिस्तान? अपनी मोहर लगानी थी क्या? And Atalji says in Lahore at that reception that Pakistan doesn't require my seal. Pakistan has its own seal and it works on its own seal. And that's when the whole crowd there stood up and gave him a standing ovation.
जो हम पर गुजरी बच्चों के संग न होने देंगे, जंग न होने देंगे.
A memorandum of understanding between the two foreign secretaries listed a set of robust confidence-building measures, ranging from a list of their respective nuclear installations to pro-people measures like the return of prisoners. But neither Nawaz Sharif nor Atal Bihari Vajpayee had the smallest inkling that in a few months all hell was going to break loose. As Vajpayee was visiting Lahore, the Pakistan army on the orders of Parvez Musharraf was already invading the Kargil sector of Jammu and Kashmir. Vajpayee boarded a flight back to Delhi from Lahore. Musharraf also boarded a helicopter. Except Musharraf was flying to Pakistan-occupied Kashmir to reassure his army that the Lahore Declaration meant nothing and that Operation Kargil, or Ko Paima as it was called, was still on. In the next episode of Past Forward, we will revisit the front lines of Kargil and also explore the diplomatic front led by India to win this conflict against Pakistan.